This is Ginkgo Bioworks on the monthly chart, and you can call this a V-shaped recovery. You can call this an accumulation phase. However you describe it, price has definitely bottomed at the $1.25 level. Price now sits $1 higher. If you go to the weekly chart, you can see this gap higher this past week where price just continued to surge. It did close the week off the highs. But what's all the fuss about? Let's get into this article. It is coming from the Motley Fool. Why Ginkgo Bioworks stock was a 34% winner this week. So next generation biotech Ginkgo Bioworks was one of the star stocks in its sector this week. The company's share price raced nearly 34% higher over the 5 market sessions due to 2 newly announced partnerships, particularly the one involving AI, particularly the one involving Google. It's not only the fact that the one tie-up covers AI, it's also the company Ginkgo is teaming up with. On Tuesday, the biotech announced that it has begun a strategic cloud and AI partnership with Alphabet's Google Cloud Unit. The term of the Google Ginkgo deal is 5 years, under which Ginkgo will develop large language models running on its partner's Vertex AI platform. Google Cloud, meanwhile, is to be its primary provider of cloud computing services. Now, that wasn't the only deal that was announced this week. Compounding that for Ginkgo, on Thursday, it announced another promising partnership. Privately held Exacta Bioscience is using Ginkgo's agricultural research and development services for one of its projects. This is described by the latter company as a fermentation optimization and scale-up program to enhance one of its crop protection products, PhytoRoot, paving the way for large-scale commercialization. But really, it was the partnership with Google that sent shares soaring. Let's listen into this video from the CEO.
Joining us now, Ginkgo Bioworks CEO Jason Kelly. Jason, it's great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Morgan.
All right, so walk me through this partnership that you struck with Google, because it looks like you're going to pay Google an escalating minimum amount over the course of 5 years, and then Google, based on undisclosed business milestones, has the possibility of putting money back into Ginkgo as well. So what is this going to enable?
Yeah, so the number one thing it enables is it gets us access to the infrastructure at Google, right? And the reason this is exciting is, folks have gotten to learn more and more about how these AI models work, right? And to give you an example, something like ChatGPT, basically this big computer brain, it was fed a bunch of English language books and other text, and it learned to speak English. And the idea behind our project with Google is to take that same kind of computer brain, instead of giving it books written in English, give it books written in DNA. So the genomes of all the organisms that are out there in nature. And the idea is it'll learn to speak DNA just like ChatGPT learned to speak English. And DNA is behind half of your therapeutic drugs, many of your foods, new materials, and things like that. And the hope is this model could ultimately do that job better than a scientist trying to write that DNA by hand. And that's the project with Google. And by doing this scale of deal, where we are committing to $250 million of spend over the next 5 years, we build that asset for our customers here at Ginkgo, and they can access it as a service.
Yeah, and I know you sit on quite a bit of data. It sounds very promising. We've had a number of investors who've come on and said biotech, for example, is one of those key near-term areas where you're going to see generative AI realized. So how quickly does this become a money-making endeavor for you?
Yeah, so these models take a little bit of time to train, but not that long. Even these big foundation models being trained on huge amounts of English language data are trained over 3 or 6 month periods, right? So we do expect to be able to have models get out there. Ginkgo uniquely has a platform business model where we can go out and get service fees and ultimately get royalties from our customers. So we have the go-to-market channels for this already, which we think is pretty unique in biotech.
So then is this a new revenue stream, or does this build on the revenue streams you have already?
It should expand the ones we have already. Now, we are looking, and this is something we're really excited about. Google has the ability to launch models in their sort of marketplace, and I think if that is successful, and we will be trying that out as part of this partnership, that would be a new type of revenue stream for Ginkgo, and that's just a new area right now. Even on top of these sort of generative English language models, people are still trying to figure out what are the right business models. We're going to run that same experiment in the biotech industry through our partnership with Google.
Okay, so as you make these investments, as you build out these models, how do you balance that against your current book of business? You've got the synthetic biology, but you had the biosecurity business, which grew strongly during the pandemic, but is now lapping some of those figures and has fallen off as we've seen demand for some of your products around that wane. You're not making money yet, but I know you're sitting on a cash pile. So how does all of this play out?
Yeah, so we ended last quarter with 1.1 billion in the bank, so that's a good margin of safety for us to build all this stuff out over time. So biosecurity, just to bring it up, we have a program with the CDC where we look at wastewater from planes, and then we read the DNA of what's in there to look for emerging pathogens. And we're expanding that internationally now as well. We have large programs in Qatar, a number of other countries as well. And so we see that as really a persistent, think of it like radar stations monitoring the weather and also looking, for defense applications like military and so on. We should have similar bioradar stations. And absolutely, being able to interpret that DNA sequence data, one of the things that would run through is AI models like the ones we're talking about here with Google. So we do think it's a nice fit for the biosecurity business as well.
It is worth noting that the smart money is buying up shares in Ginkgo Bioworks. You got, and this is as of the end of June, you had the Vanguard buying 17 million shares, BlackRock Fund Advisors buying 15.6 million shares, and then this Nikko Asset Management Americas buying 8.2 million shares. Top 10 owners of the stock. Look at this. ARK Investment Management. They own over 160 million shares. Vanguard owns 127 million shares. BlackRock Fund Advisors owns 61 million shares. Morgan Stanley Investment Management owns 44 million shares. Top 10 mutual fund holdings. ARK is in the top 3. ARK Innovation, 111 million shares, and then ARK Genomics Revolution at 50 million shares. All right, so that's good to know, right? Got the smart money behind this company. Question is, how far can price go up in the short term? Just staying on the weekly chart. You have this rally in price, basing candle, and then a drop. So in order for price to move higher, it really needs to get past the 255 level, where price entered the zone and then pulled back again off the highs on Friday. Price breaches and closes above this level. The next level where the sellers are going to step in is at the 325 level. You can see this better on the monthly chart. You have all these wicks just waiting to push price back down. So if you're in it, great. If you want to get in it, I would wait until price breaches this level the setup will be the following. Rallying price, a retest to the zone, and then an impulse move higher. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Please like the video.